got an op exterminator. Who wants smoke? Puss ass boy. What you trying to do, bitch?
The whole thing is the get rich quick scheme. And that's why I said, sounds a little socialist, but I wouldn't mind another stimulus check.
I definitely wouldn't mind another $1,200, that's for sure.
I wouldn't mind any amount of money. If you give me $10, I'm good to go. I just won 20 on that scratcher, so bro, I'm moving up. We're going up, B.
That's a good point. I remember you were telling me, I think after the last episode, you were telling me that you won $50 off that scratcher, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna go buy one just to see what's up.
Number 11, 7-Eleven, down the hill. I think it's the sign. If you get a 7 and an 11, then they have that one, 7-11-21. So maybe, I don't know.
That could be. I don't know anything about gambling, though.
The only thing I know about gambling is I spend more than I make.
Exactly.
But I make enough to be like, I'm
up. I'm going up, boys. Let's go.
Get the red panties.
Our boy Connor.
And speaking of, shout out to that fucking kid I found at the beginning. Don't know who he is, where he's from, but I found that video, so that's going to be a nice little intro to ease you into what we would call a podcast. Speaking of, by the way, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you for. I only understand it's 2 episodes in a row now, but that's better. That's better than nothing.
Look at that, man. We're on a roll. 2 in a row. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Brandon.
It's the same name.
It's the same name to the point where people at a Logic concert would get confused and tell us to stop playing.
That happened. We went to a Logic and they got confused. But again, the only difference is mine's an Irish version and his is the name of the greatest martial artist of all time, Bruce Lee. Son Brandon Lee.
That was his son. He died. He died.
Killed himself on accident because they swapped the gun on the crow.
That's all. Yeah, huh?
Well,
all right. Well, I guess we might as well just jump right in.
Yeah. So
talking about the conversation that we've had in the last week or so, talking about gravity, the moon.
Yeah.
And how useful or not useful your shit could or could not be.
A natural soil. So I know what you're thinking. The name of the episode, Soilor Moon.
Soilor Moon, it's here.
This was made with extreme intent of, we have a subject. Now, granted, the research wasn't as efficient as I thought it would be, because people have told me, you need oxygen, but I was like, I thought you just needed the CO2 for the plants to survive, because they'll produce the oxygen themselves. So, wasn't aware of that. But I think the hard part about everything with space and trying to grow plants and have all the living creatures survive in that kind of biodome. What's the word for that? I
would say biodome or biosphere, maybe. Would be
the biome, whatever it is.
The biome.
In that environment, to live on the moon, I've come to the conclusion that with everything with the research I've looked into, the hardest part would be getting the water to the plant. So, bring it back. We have this idea. You do in a cup.
Yeah.
Alright? You put the lid on the cup. You go up to space, to the moon.
So, before we go any further, let me get this straight. You're saying shit in a cup before even going to the moon. You have zero intentions of pooping on the moon.
Well, how you gonna poop on the moon? I mean, if you're in a little ship, but I don't know how that works. I'm thinking you just gotta have a backup. You gotta take one with you. I don't know how long it takes.
I don't know what NASA's precautions on. If you can bring one personal item, everyone's got a photo album of family members and friends. So and so's got like a old Game Boy SP. What do you bring? A cup of shit.
Something to keep them grounded so they're not going stir crazy.
And you're just riding up onto the moon going, my precious. But it's just a cup of shit. No one talks to you. All because they won't give you a blanket.
Hey, Brandon's over there and he's holding that jar pretty tight. What's in it? Oh man, that's just a bunch of fecal matter. You telling me he brought Dookie up to the space?
It's for an experiment. We tried to say we tried to tell the people up top that probably wasn't a good idea, but they said that he's the man for the job.
He pulled a gun out on him. Houston didn't even know he made it up this far.
Houston has no idea he's here. In fact, they took precautions. They're sending another crew up here to pick him up and take him back. He should be here in about 3 or 4 days.
That'd be terrible. But no. So the only issue that I saw I mean, granted, there were other things that came up, but the one issue I saw is if it dried out too quick, and not to like manure itself isn't necessarily dry, but it isn't necessarily wet.
Yeah.
But it can be because think about like this cows, they just be plopping all over the place, and the grass still be growing, and they eat where they plop, and that's that's gross. But with this, you wouldn't be eating. I mean, I guess you would if you grew the fruit and everything, veggies, but that takes time. But what I'm getting at is, I don't know the word for it, but I know that they sell it. But when it dries and it becomes like the something or other, but like dinosaurs have it that they find and say, oh, this is dried out, crap. So I'm thinking if that happened, worst case scenario. But this is where it gets crazy. So I'm thinking if you need to, when you're in space, whatever it is, you get crap in a cup at some point when you're on the moon. You have the cup of crap. This is where I think it gets a little more complicated is with that gravity change and everything, because you know how air pressure changes. If you're in, the sky, you open a door, everything gets sucked out.
Yeah.
If you're trying to open that crap lid, dude, crap just gets slurped off in outer space.
Just spreads out like molten brownie batter throughout.
That's disgusting.
Throughout your little moon home.
Little alien flying by. Hit his little windshield.
He's like, what the hell? He's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if necessarily. I guess maybe if you pressurize the cup.
I don't know.
Kind of like you would like an airplane cabin.
Well, and I don't know, because let's say you take the cup with you. You go up. It's going to get slurped in. The lid pops off. It flies out, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" And you have a Challenger 3.0.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think you could take a cup of crap with you to the moon. I think you would have to be something that you procured while you were there because of the gravity change, and that way the pressure wouldn't, shoot your dukes all over the place.
No. Well, here's the other thing. Do you think you could bring a sapling up just fine? Or do you think you would need to actually bring a seed, like just a regular seed? I mean, I guess a sapling could be a seed, but I mean, like, you have a branch. You could probably bring a little branch with you, or you think once you hit that pressure, it's going to go, leaves fall off and everything.
So that's getting into some science that I know nothing about. And
Well,
I'm not going to try to say that I didn't know anything about. I would say probably bring both, just to be on the safe side, see what happens with which one. But at the same time, I have no idea.
Well, let's segue this off there, because I'm thinking about the water aspect. You want to grow a plant on the moon, but the water fly up. But then again, I don't think it flies up, because I don't know, the moon just has lower gravity, so it probably just falls slower. Whereas space itself, like there's nothing where it floats around. But again, this is where the segue comes in. I promise, it makes sense. I'm thinking about the water. How much water do the astronauts bring? Or how much drink do they have? Because you ever think someone like you and I get kind of thirsty, a little more than normal.
Yeah.
Run out of supplies in like 2 days.
That's a good point. I don't know. It's probably a figure that you probably look up, see what's good. But I honestly have no idea.
That's why
how much Google. I guess water they would have to bring up.
How much water?
In order to. Because for me, I don't know if it's necessary. I guess it would just depend on how long you're up there, and they would take like a recommendation that says you're supposed to drink, say, a gallon of water a day while you're up there, and say you're up there for I don't know what 6, 7, 8 months, give or take, depending. And I don't even think they're up there that long, but just to stretch things out if you're trying to grow stuff.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So this is what I'm seeing. The U.S. system collects condensate runoff and urine to create 3.6 gallons of drinkable water per day. However, Russian astronauts drink water processed from only shower runoff and condensate, skipping the urine. So they're drinking piss. Astronauts drink piss.
So okay.
And piss on the plants.
What's crazy? You could, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, there would be enough.
Burn it in their stuff in the urine like a dog. Male dogs, I don't know female, but I know male dogs, or is it female? I don't know. One of the dogs, they got the stuff, and it's what make the yellow patches in the grass. I think males. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a urine expert by any stretch of the imagination. But I think I think in a grand scheme of things, if you were like, if the sole mission of that group of astronauts was to grow food, I think that they would bring like purified water, something that wouldn't necessarily have like a pH imbalance that could destroy the plant, or let's just say crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes the plant grow to like an extreme mass.
Bring the Gatorade, the electrolyte.
Yeah, you tried to grow your tree with like bong water, like who knows what's gonna happen.
Well, I guess the other thing is, would you wait till you got to the moon to start the growing process, or would you start the growing process in the ship? Well, and that's what I don't know, because the air pressure, you open that thing.
I think for that, I think they would probably most likely grow while they got there, because it doesn't take that long to get to the moon, so you're only taking 3 or 4 days to get there. So like I guess in the grand scheme you could plant the tree, but in the process of transporting it from wherever you're at to like a stable environment would probably kill it.
Do you think
would be my guess.
Do you think they really wasted tax dollars just to see if they could?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we got to go water the tree. All right, we'll be back in a few months.
Yeah, like they would waste enough taxpayer money to fly back to Earth to get water.
Or they're probably like, listen, this is a one-way trip. You ain't coming back, and we'll make sure that the moon is stocked up with them little landers, and those will be the little homes that you're going to live on once everything is grown until we build our own civilization.
I guess for
build
me,
a sky bridge.
I guess for me, it's baffling that they have haven't tried that yet. Like, just to even let's just say send something up to the moon, have a couple of dudes plant it, stay for however long, and then come back, and then just take photos of it, or leave a couple of people there for 6 months maybe, give them enough supplies to live there, and then just have them track their process over that course of time to be like, yeah, this is, it would work or it wouldn't work. Because, I know they have a problem with, people having sex in space. They don't know how that works.
I was going to say, because imagine you have the family, or not a family, but, two people, male, female, going to the moon, and they got a little house space that they got to set up while they're doing everything. But then they end up having a moon baby, and they got to come back. Little baby ain't going to handle the pressure well.
Oh, no, I actually heard from...
come back in his moans.
Yeah, there's a Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about it, I think, on one of the times that he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about, he's like, people born on Mars couldn't come here. They just, their pressure, the pressure of our atmosphere, because our gravity is equal to 1, whereas their gravity is however much less it is than here, that their bone structure wouldn't be able to handle it. He's like they'd be able to breathe and all that stuff, but they would literally feel like they were getting crushed, and their bones just wouldn't be able to handle that kind of pressure.
You telling me that they couldn't be like Vegeta when he
no
in that gravity just training to be the best?
And which I think is so strange. Obviously, Dragon Ball Z is an anime, so there's a little bit of liberties. But you would think that if you were to just increase the amount of pressure that's around you, that you would be able to do something like that.
Well, and you are, because think about it. It's the sea level versus the mountain level. That's different pressures, and people are just fine. I mean, granted, people get the altitude sickness, they go too quick. But, I mean, you come up here, you will exercise. Like in Colorado, you come from Florida to Colorado, you're doing it, you exercise. You're like, hey, this is a little different. And you will be like, oh, I'm getting swole. You go back to Florida, you're going to feel like Usain Bolt.
I suppose that's true. You feel like you'd be able to breathe if you were to go from sea level to a higher elevation, do whatever, and then come down. I know that and maybe that's why the Olympic Training Center is here, is because it is higher altitude. So it is it's not necessarily a different the pressure is different, but it's not noticeable enough to really destroy you. Whereas if you were to say have a chamber where you would just turn it on to 4 times gravity,
right?
Because I think that's more so. It would just feel like you were being pushed down, and you wouldn't really be able to do anything.
Okay, we'll segue again to that then. Gravity chamber, right? I'm not saying you go up boom, right to 4. I'm saying how much you think the human body could take. Like if you raise it up increment after increment, just a little bit by little bit, because you see these people on the roids, they live in all the crazy stuff. But like, do you think that humans could train to just eventually be like, I can work under 100 pressure of gravity, or do you think there's a limit where the body's like, that's it, bucko, stab?
I would say there's probably a limit for sure. I have no idea what that limit is, because like I know that like with dudes who train to be astronauts, obviously they put them through that G-force tester to they
They spin them.
Yeah, and they go up to like I can't remember if it's 12 Gs or if it's like 20 Gs. It's a decent amount of G forces, but some of those dudes straight up just pass out. But that brings it back to what you were saying, where because it's from like from 0 to 100, and that's why they can't handle it. But if they were to like over time just train these dudes to get accommodated to like 1.1 and then 1.2 and then all the way up to however many it is that they need to be going, obviously it would take way longer. You'd have to hire astronauts at like age 14 to get them accommodated to like
but
however long.
It's just something they're used to, and they're like, ah. Looking like a Brock Lesnar astronaut.
That would be scary. If I was a group of aliens just minding my business on my home planet, I'm just farming or whatever, and all of a sudden I see this spacecraft come into my atmosphere and all of these Brock Lesnar-sized dudes.
Just regular Brock Lesnar coming out. He don't even wear the suit. He just got the helmet on.
He just has the helmet on. You see his stupid sword tattoo.
Sword tattoo. And he's just walking up to you.
That's what NASA should do. If we ever make contact with aliens, just send as many WWE superstars as possible. Stone Cold. Like they land kind of. It'd be like Mars Attacks where they land and everyone's like this huge ceremony and they're waiting so the aliens come down and they're standing in a little square. All of a sudden you hear. And you just see Stone Cold just hauling ass down this ramp, and he just, stunners this alien.
Stands up on the alien test, puts his hands up. They throw the beer, but the gravity goes over it.
I think that would be. I think that'd be the perfect way for aliens to be introduced to at least American culture.
It's through Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's through Stone Cold Steve Austin, or just any WWE superstar that's like the big name. Like
John Cena.
Yeah, like John Cena.
Oh, I don't know who's currently the face. I don't know who really is the face of it anymore. I mean, it used to be like you had The Rock and Stone Cold, and those were the guys. But now I'm thinking about that because you got a point, or would introduce him. What would really introduce him to the Americanization of it is with Stone Cold, if he does catch the beers and he gets ready to chug both of them, but the gravity, the beer's just going the wrong way.
The beer's just like bubbling up.
It's going up, so he throws the can and he jumps up and lets it fly into his mouth.
That'd be a very. That sounds like a very, very terrible movie.
Can I get a hell yeah? That's what them aliens beside him.
I think that's the aliens' way of that. They'd be like, we're out of here. We're either leaving or we're destroying your entire race.
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? I'm gonna kick your candy ass.
What's like that movie, Arrival, where the aliens don't necessarily talk, they communicate through like sounds, which I feel is like a very like Hollywood thing, where it's like aliens only communicate through like sounds or pictures. It's like they have no written language.
They can't have ears like people, dude.
And like I get that aspect of it. Like we have no idea like how evolution works, like in other places under other circumstances. But I do not see, I guess, and maybe it's just because of our pop culture with things like Star Trek or Star Wars, where
it's all the different races.
It's like all of these different races, but in the grand scheme of things, they're all semi-humanoid.
For the most part, minus like the creature ones that they have to fight.
Yeah.
They say if you're humanoid, you're what's the word? Civilized. If you're not, we're just gonna end you because you're a monster.
That's true.
Chewbacca, if you walked on 4 legs, we would kill you.
Probably.
But since you walk on 2, you're cool in my book.
And it's for me, it's one of those weird things that like I said, I don't know if it's just because of the way that our pop culture upbringing is, and because humans are kind of like, okay, this is what we would envision an alien looking like because this is the only thing that we've ever known. But for me, I don't really see aliens not looking semi-human in some way, whether it's, they walk on two legs, or whether, their brain is in their head, or something like that. Like, for me, I feel like there would have to be something that would be humanoid about them.
Well, and I agree, because I think that it makes it familiar, so you're more welcoming to it,
And it could be, and I don't know, man. I think even if an alien were to come through this door right now, dude, I would not mess with that. I'd
if
leave.
he come through that, how would we leave? There's one door in
I
and
would
out
walk.
of this place.
I'd be like, oh, excuse me.
Oh, you know what? That segues me to the next thing. Would you fight Worf?
No.
If Worf came to that door and he was like, hello,
I'd be like, I gotta go grab something from my truck. I'd leave you here.
you'd leave me
Yeah.
with the scrotum head alien?
Yeah, I'd leave you here.
Mr. Worf got syphilis, and
I'd be like, well, hey man, something happens, dude. I gotta check my bank account.
and I'm up on the Enterprise with dealing with Picard and all those other nerds in space.
Hey man, if that's how you get famous, that's how you get famous.
The extent of my knowledge of Star Trek is just from what I've watched with your dad.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I remember is he was like, I like the Next Generation or Deep Space. I don't know which one, but then he always told me my favorite episode, and it's the one where Worf and his son go to the Wild Wild West. Yeah, that's his favorite episode.
I know nothing about that.
No, what do you mean? Worf and his son, they're trying to have a father-son day, so they go to the little hologram thing, and then they go to the Wild West and have an adventure. And Worf is like, stop. With a little scrotum, and his son's like, no.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm going to be completely honest.
That's your dad. Why am I watching Star Trek with your dad?
I don't know. Why are you watching Star Trek with my dad?
I don't know. It was a Thursday. His day off.
So I think for me, it's so funny how there's a divide between like Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans.
Mm-hmm.
When in the grand scheme of things, the plot is kind of the same.
Well,
it's a group of people exploring, but it's okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. So Star Trek is about people who explore space for the betterment / the curiosity of humans, whereas Star Wars there's an already pre-existing universe that has been, for the most part, pretty explored. But it's focusing more on little pieces of said universe.
For the most part, it would focus on like the one story, because arguably it was all about the Skywalkers, the main story. The other little stuff is cool, but I'll give you the real bread and butter about why, like what the biggest difference is. One of them is just too much damn talking on a spaceship, and the other one is dudes busting up chops with a sword in space.
And maybe that's really what the disconnect is Star Trek is more for people who like story-driven things, and Star Wars is more, it's kind of meant to be flashy.
Well, that's the thing. Star Wars is to be that adventure, like this is cool stuff. Star Trek is to be like philosophical, like hey, this is a cool concept, and we introduce these different races, see how they work and operate, like wow, that's really interesting. But in Star Wars, you see a different race operating, like wow, this is cool, but then their planet gets blown up.
That's a good point. There's a lot of things that get blown up in Star Wars. People in that universe don't care.
The only thing getting blown up is how many times what's his name Kurt has to check for an STD in Star Trek.
That's true.
But you watch Star Wars, ships are blowing up, people are blowing up, droids are blowing up, planets are blowing up, starships are running through starships in hyperspace. Dudes are killing kids to save their wife.
Just to not save their wife.
And then you go watch Star Trek. And you just, hey, Scotty, beat me up.
Hey, Scotty, do you know what's going on down here? No, Captain, I have zero idea. I've never seen something like this before, so I don't know what approach to take.
Hey, Spock, could you maybe look at this thing on my penis, please? Kirk, I'm afraid I cannot do that.
Captain, you're my friend and all, but I'm not doing that, man.
But I'm not asking as your captain. I'm now ordering you to check my penis for genital herpes.
Sir, I'm going to equal opportunity. I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, when you're fired, you can check me on Expedia.com.
That's fine. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not looking at your man schlong, there, buddy. I'm out of here.
That's and yeah, you go sleeping with the aliens. You know who Anakin slept with? Padme. That's it.
One lady, as far as we know. As far as we know, we don't know what other kind of exploits Obi-Wan got him into, especially with the lore that Clone Wars has brought upon us. I understand Obi-Wan kept his lady friend secret, but
yeah, spoiler alert.
For me, I can't see that not going in a conversation of being like there's no way that Anakin wouldn't like have caught Obi-Wan texting this girl, being like, hey buddy, who you talking to? And he's like, no, nobody, no. And he's like, no.
Anakin, you're talking to Padme again.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, you remember that time we were on Mandalore, Obi-Wan? What happened there? You're supposed to lead that offensive, and we found you in a whorehouse.
Anakin, my Padawan, you have much to learn.
And it's just, I don't see. I get where that process comes from. Like, it's like, okay, we're all about. It's kind of like a weird form of hippie, where they're like, we're about love and peace, but
the space hippies in robes.
Yeah, they're like, but
love and peace, but we'll cut you up if we have.
But you can't do anything that requires you to be a hippie. You can't do drugs. You can't have all the sex you want. You can't be who you want.
And if you even think about wearing a robe darker than this, it's on.
You're going down. But at the same time, we watched Attack of the Clones the other day. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny that in the very beginning of the movie, Mace Windu says, "We're not fighters. We're just keepers of the peace." And yet, not 45 minutes later, they jumped so fast into a war rather than just flying to Geonosis as a couple of dudes being like, "Hey, man, we just want our guys back. We don't care what you do."
Well, and not even that. Even in Episode 1, when Qui-Gon said, "We're here to protect you, not to fight a war for you."
And they ended up fighting everybody. They ended up turning Naboo into a war zone.
Anakin, stay in that cockpit.
And what does he go and do? Blows up an entire control ship.
And as much as that movie gets hate, I think it's still better than Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd personally much rather watch Star Wars or any Star Wars related content rather than Star Trek. And it's not because I think Star Trek is boring. It's not my thing.
And listen, I watched it, it's on cool. But the original Star Trek series, those original movies, minus that second one. That second movie is a classic. The Wrath of Khan, it's great. But the rest of them, that first movie, I fell asleep like 3 different times. Every time I woke up, they were still showing the ship. That's it.
Yeah,
they were like, look how big this ship is.
And I feel like that's probably, maybe it's more so like they're trying to be real.
Spock, please.
You would just be staring at a ship for hours trying to diplomatically figure out how to,
No wonder Kirk be having all that sex or something else to do
with it. He's just bored. He's like, yeah, we're out here for 5 years.
Hey, Spock,
this sucks.
You want to try something new? Oh, what do you mean, Jim?
Yeah, Jim, stop. And he's like, no, come on. Let's experiment. We're friends.
Please come. I will show you my big ship.
He's like, please, I'll show you my cockpit. And you know what I mean? It's like,
it's not COVID. I promise. I just got a cough.
And it's just I don't know, man. I think that debate is one of those things that
don't say debate when you're talking about Kurt.
No, I'm not. Just in the grand scope of Star Trek versus Star Wars, I think that's why that exists, is because people who like Star Wars are just about they're like, look, man, we just want a pretty typical adventure story that has a few flashy things added to it, that's exciting, that makes a pretty overdone story doable. Whereas people in Star Trek are like, okay, here's all these different scenarios. It's kind of like playing Dungeons and Dragons is Star Wars, whereas just playing like a regular video game is Star Wars. Star Trek is Dungeons and Dragons. It takes hours to set up. There's a whole lot of lore to it. You got to learn a lot of things.
You have to be invested.
You have to be invested.
You can't just be like, oh.
You can't just put, like, you could, like, obviously a diehard Star Trek fan can put Star Trek on in the background and mind their own business, and they're happy and they're content.
They can speak Klingon.
And they can, exactly, they learn a language that does not exist.
But they know it.
Whereas I just want to sit down for 2 hours and I want to enjoy myself and I want to see something exciting. I want to be part of something that...
You don't need Star Wars for that.
What do you need? Tell me. What's...
Lotion?
I'm gonna stop you right there. This is a family this is a family podcast, sir. I'll have you know. This goes out to children.
I hope not.
I also hope not, because
YouTube will sue us.
I put the explicit filter on more so not because any of the episodes are necessarily explicit. It's just...
What do you mean they're not necessarily explicit?
I feel like it just covers our bases. Like, so...
We talked about shitting in a cup on the moon.
Not this episode specifically, just episodes in the past where, like, the subject matter might be mature, but it's not mature enough to straight up need an explicit filter.
It's not like something you catch your son watching on Cinemax at night.
Yeah, but it's not something that, should necessarily be overlooked. Like, for me, it's totally okay to just put the explicit filter on there, so that way someone could be like, oh, okay, you probably shouldn't be listening to this if there's an explicit filter. Like, at that point, it's on the people who listen to it. It's not our fault. It's more so just to cover the bases.
You let your kid listen to this?
I don't have a kid.
I got some news for you, but that's...
Believe me, no one's come knocking on my door. I got time, but no one's coming knocking on my door yet.
Well, let's see. You lost your virginity at what, 11?
13? I think it was 13.
So, technically, if they'd be middle school at the earliest.
What?
Earliest.
What baby mama is going to let their middle school child transport themselves, wherever it is, to knock on a baby daddy's door?
You got to wait till we make it. That's all I'm saying. Once we're famous, you're going to see.
I swear that if once we do get famous, that if some kid comes knocking on my door telling me that I'm his dad,
he's gonna look just like a parrot.
I'm gonna straight up send that kid your way. I'm gonna be like, no, you got me mixed up with Brendan. He lives over here. I'll take you there, as a matter of fact. You've been walking? Don't worry, hop in. I'll take you there.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, you probably are mine. I've been waiting for one of you to show.
Just be like, well, I mean, I don't know. But
there's the couch. There's the bathroom. Help yourself to some of the chips. There's the remote for the TV.
I'm going to bed. I gotta work.
I got a real job, kid. I don't get to just mooch off my famous parents.
I don't get to just walk around towns like some 70s show.
Golly. I'm not just some local joker rapper with these weirdos bouncing with my car.
I actually saw a video of this guy. He was trying to film a music video with some guy. He was in the office building, and he had a Dodge Charger, and they were out there trying to film a music video with that guy's car. So he's up in the office building, like, filming them. And he's like, yo, these dudes really out here trying to film a music video with my car. What the hell? Like, could you imagine the audacity? Like, you're just sitting at work, mind your own business. Let's say you have a view to your car, and all of a sudden, all you see is just some dudes rapping with your car. It's like, and it's not even like a fancy car. It's like a Hyundai Sonata.
Hey, get off my '95 Accord.
Hey, that's a '93 Civic, asshole. Get off of it.
I just got it painted.
I just had that waxed. Are you gonna front the bill?
No. And you know how much money I have?
Keyword
'93 Honda Civic.
Do you see this suit? I've worn it every day for the last 3 weeks.
I look like Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness.
And I feel like Willy Wonka from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, okay?
What does that mean?
My life is in shambles. My wife left me in '08. I don't have a child that I know of. No one's coming knocking on my door. My apartment doesn't even have a toilet.
So I'm sorry for messing with your car.
Leave me alone. How dare you come into my life? In fact, I had to take my lunch break to come out here and yell at you. I just got here 20 minutes ago. I have to spend the rest of my day in that hellhole. This is how you do me? Where are your manners?
Have you seen where this office building is?
Do you see that car over there? That's the boss's car. It's on cinder blocks.
Go film your little hip-hop video over there.
He's just this poor businessman. He's just bawling his eyes out because his life's falling apart.
He got a Grinch tie on.
Yeah.
Because he can't get a real tie. It's a
Dude,
clip-on.
oh my god, dude. That would be hilarious.
I'd feel bad. I don't ever see that in my life.
If I ever saw that, I don't know what I'd do.
I'd do what I've been taught to do.
I'd just leave.
Mind my own business.
I'd be like, hey, buddy, I'm sorry to say, but...
They ain't making a video out of my car, so I don't gotta be here.
I'd be sorry, buddy, I'm just dropping this package off.
I might have to go up to him and drop some coins in this cup. Be like, hey, I know you're having a bad time.
And he's like, I don't need your charity.
I was drinking that.
He's like, you ruined the one thing that I look forward to every single day.
My macchiato!
That's the free cup of coffee that Janice from reception gives everyone in the morning.
You think that I just come to work for a paycheck? I do it for Janice and the sweetest.
I do it for the people.
What people? This building is empty.
What people? There's no one here. Sir, are you alright? Dude, oh my...
Why is he calling at me?
Did you just squawking on the top of the building?
He gets on top of his car trying to lay an egg. Ow!
I think I'd leave as soon as he started talking to me about all his problems. But if I heard that as I was driving away, I'd be like...
I think the cops are on me.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh my god, he called the cops.
Look out my window at night, look through the street light, you see... standing there, like, don't you have a job to be at in the morning?
I told you! I lost my job!
Because of...
I lost my job because of those damn local hip-hop artists and you not sticking up for me. I know my boss called you.
How to stick together.
I heard the conversation that you had with him, and I remember you quote saying, and he flips out this like really dingy notebook that's like covered in like old coffee stains and it has like gunk on it, and he's like, and I quote, "That dude's a weirdo, so I left. Never contact me again."
He squawked at me.
You just hear it in the background of the phone call. This sounds like a really bad like reenactment from like one of those like stupid reality shows.
Welcome to America's Most Wanted.
Operation Repo.
Have you found the Squawker? He's been squawking in parts of town.
If you see this man, contact your local authorities.
He's not armed or dangerous. He's just a weirdo.
He's just a goofball. He needs a safe spot.
We just want to make sure he's taken care of. Oh, there he is.
just like hauling ass, just like full bore sprinting. Just like up and down the street in your neighborhood. That sounds like some shit that would happen off of the dark web.
That's really creepy. Oh, no.
You don't want to go outside? That's where the dark web is.
Nope.
They're watching us through this webcam. You said it doesn't matter. There's others. You're probably not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Just wake up.
Brendan, are you there?
In the bathroom.
I'd leave, dude. Honest to God. I'd leave. I'd leave all of my stuff here, and I'd leave.
If some guy with 5 o'clock shadow came out through him, but the alien comes in, you just walk by.
I could deal with the alien. The Squawker?
What if the alien comes in wearing the suit?
That's the Colorado Springs cryptid. The Squawker. You've heard of the Wendigo. You've heard of Bigfoot. But have you ever had to deal with the Squawker? Some legends point to him living in a cave.
Cave of the Wind.
Some say he was born in Manitou Springs.
On the incline, on a snowy blizzard night.
And his parents perished because no one in the other party would give them a blanket, so they froze to death.
And he was raised by vultures.
And someone's like doing research. There's like There's no vultures in that part of the state. What are you guys talking about?
Listen, it's a story, dude. It's called fiction. You just roll with it. You expect me to be like, oh, that's not fiction, but Star Wars happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Hey, you don't know that. Time works differently in space.
And with how big it is, there's only 3 black people I've spotted. Lando, Mace, Finn.
They gotta be related. There's no way. They have to be related.
Well, no, because Mace was bald and the other 2 had hair, so I don't know.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Look at LeBron James.
It's going away.
It's going away.
It's going away.
So...
You tell me Mace Windu was so stressed out about everything?
Yeah, he was the leader of the damn Jedi. Would you want to deal with a green booger telling you what to do all the time?
Speaking in cryptic paragraphs.
And just talking stupid all the time, and he's like, good relations with the Wookiees I have. And he's like, dude,
I saw the video.
I don't care about the Wookiees, bro.
I saw a video where they were talking about that, and they're like, so you know how to speak English, but you speak it backwards still. You see how all of us say it, but you still just speak it backwards.
Do you see where the problem comes in? Is Mace is trying to do his job. He's got Yoda.
He got trust issues is what he got.
He got Yoda bitching at him. Then this new guy comes along, supposedly the prophecy. Everyone in the council...
Bull-headed kid.
Everyone in the council seemed to trust Qui-Gon to a pretty decent extent. More or less. Obviously, you look back on the lore and people are like, no. See, look. Qui-Gon was not liked. He was not well received.
He was just, because, what was it? He understood how everything worked better, because he was one of the real, because he actually let the Force do what it needed to do, and everyone else said, no. It's got to be this way. My interpretation's right. Yours is wrong. Hashtag Crusades 2020.
Dude, straight up. He was the Martin Luther of the Jedi Order. He went up to the Jedi Order and he went. He nailed his 99 tenets right there. He said, "This right here is the truth." Everyone just chalks him up to be a quack. He's the Squawker. He's not dead. Darth Maul didn't kill him. That lightsaber wound just messed with his voice box a little bit.
And while he was passed out, they lit him on fire.
He's Joshua. He's the Joshua Graham of the Jedi Order. Mace Windu is Caesar, and he's leading this legion. He's going across the dam to fight the Sith.
The white legs.
Mace said, I'm not a murderer, but sometimes you gotta do the midi-chlorian's bidding.
Oh no. Well, and to bring everything back, you probably couldn't grow shit on them.
I don't think so. In the grand scheme of things, I really don't think you could. I think that you really, honest to God, cannot grow things on the moon unless you have something pre-established.
You heard it here first, boys and girls, from B&B.
You could grow things on Mars. That makes sense.
Similar atmosphere. But
atmosphere, but a moon, there's no atmosphere. There's no way.
It's just a chunky boy rock.
It's too hot.
Is the moon hot? Or I thought the moon was cold.
So, okay, it's not hot, like, as in, like, it's like hundreds of degrees, but because it doesn't rotate, that one side is always... The one side that faces us is always facing the sun. And then you got the dark side of the moon where Optimus Prime's homeboy lives. And where that band Pink Floyd wrote that album. But it's just, that would be too cold to grow anything. Because I think it's like... I understand you're not like just going out into the moon and like digging a hole and just like planting a tree. Because obviously there'd be nothing for the plant to survive off of.
What do I do with the shovel? Yeet!
And just see how far it could go. Put a little transmitter on it.
Throw it towards the earth and just see if you ever hear a news report. Shovel far out of sky.
I think a shovel would burn up in the atmosphere.
What if it's one of the Minecraft diamond shovels?
It's enchanted. Unbreaking 3.
Nope, this is what happens. I figured it all out. Ties it all together. You throw the shovel. It enters a vortex. goes through back in time, hits Star Wars universe, where it then gets blasted. As it gets blasted, it enters Star Trek universe, where a kid then gets launched onto it from space. It then keeps falling, comes back to our time in our universe. It lands on the planet Earth in the middle of Manitou Springs, where a couple was hiking, lands on them, kills them in an explosion. They find the baby, the vultures take it, and it becomes...
Ladies and gentlemen, just remember, time works differently in space. Anything is possible at this point. So, the way I look at it, you know. So this does have me kind of concerned though, because anytime you and I have a conversation about anything,
Mm-hmm.
it always ends up seeming to come up on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, wherever, or it becomes like a TV ad, there's a movie coming out about it. Something happens where we end up seeing what we were talking about.
Well, that's the government.
So I'm telling you, if I hear anything about a squawking man raised by vultures, I'm gonna be heated.
That's very understandable. But, what if something about Star Trek and or Star Wars comes up that's related? Like something about how Mace Windu is related to Finn? Wouldn't that be freaky?
It would be freaky, but I feel like when Finn was first introduced, that was something that was discussed.
That what, he don't have parents? Or that they kidnap? What? I'm sorry.
No, there was that somehow, and I think it was more so just a meme, is like there's no way that he's the only other black guy in the universe.
Well, he's not, because he got Lando.
He's either related to Lando, or he's related to Mace Windu. I would see the Mace Windu one being a little bit more plausible.
Because he can use the lightsaber?
Because he can use a lightsaber, which means he has to be in some way, some fashion, force sensitive.
Well, but...
because that's the only way the lightsabers work.
The button. Okay, push the button.
No, you could still push the button, but because you're not in tune with that, you can't use it, is what I've heard. I don't know how true that is now since the Disney acquisition and all of the lore that they've thrown out.
Well, Disney threw this whole wrench in there when Kylo lit up Snoke's lightsaber that you can just be turning them on and off with the Force. Why don't you just turn off other dudes' lightsaber when you're fighting them? The look on your face.
That's it, dude. I'm not watching Star Wars ever again.
Star Trek, you've
nope, you've lost. Both of them. Don't care about it anymore. I feel like that would be such a troll move. Like, it's not like a gentlemanly thing to do.
Who cares about gentlemanly thing? He cut his arm and legs off, left him in the fire to rot.
Listen,
and said,
that's different. My guy Obi-Wan was just trying to do what he thought was right.
Killing Anakin in the name of...
And he didn't even kill him! You're telling me you can't sit there and watch him burn to a crisp and then put another... Just, double tap him?
Just
What's he gonna do?
Push him a little farther?
He obviously couldn't use the Force. And, that was something that me and my brother always discussed growing up. Is just why did he just not over-jump?
I know why. Plot armor.
And, again, I understand plot armor exists, but let's just say that we were to take all of this a different way.
Okay.
There's no way. He says, you underestimate my power. I understand that, he's pretty much blinded by...
The lights?
By the lights. And he's blinded by the hatred that he has towards the Jedi Order.
Uh-huh.
You jump in a different spot where he can't reach you. The goal of the lightsaber fight is to win. It's to win.
You jump right over?
You jump right over the dude?
You swan dive too, so you're
not. This isn't basketball. You can't posterize Obi-Wan. Jump somewhere else, buddy.
Anakin had his tongue out like Jordan went.
He said, and then he's dead.
It was like he was in Space Jam.
He destroyed. If you jump 3 feet to the right, the battle continues. You might win, you might end up losing. Who knows? But you at least survive another 15 minutes.
I don't... Okay, hold on. How can I word this? I think a lot of times in those scenarios in the fights. 'Cause I know it's obviously written that way, but when you look at it in the hindsight kind of perspective of like, well, this wouldn't be as cool because it wouldn't make as much of a good content to watch. I'm always just sitting there thinking, why didn't he just like force pull Obi-Wan into the lava or something? Like,
So you could go all the way back. When he saw him on the ship, instead of choking his wife, the one who he's supposed to save, why didn't he choke Obi-Wan?
he said,
What? And if you're that mad, choke both of them. You have two hands.
so he got so mad because he wanted to save his wife that he went to the temple, killed all the kids. Then he go to the planet,
Kill
and
all
then he
those
choke
people.
her out. Oh yeah, he killed all the people. Then she come to the planet. He say, "I love you," but then Obi-Wan stowed away on the ship, and he just assumed. So he kill her. Well, he don't kill her yet, but he choke her out to the point where she gonna die in childbirth. And Obi-Wan's like, "You're crazy." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not crazy."
And that's definitely what something. That's something who someone that's crazy would say. They'd be like, "I'm not crazy," but in the grand scheme of things,
You are fucking crazy, Hayden Christian. What movies have you made since? Jumper? Get the fuck out of here.
I liked that movie. I thought it was an interesting concept.
Concepts are interesting, but when he's going, I can jump through the Sphinx.
Look, I understand the execution was probably a little off. That makes sense. Believe.
A little.
I'm just saying. There's a lot of things that happened in the early 2000s that no one likes to talk about.
How early 2000s was that? 2007, 2008?
That sounds about right.
Why do I ask you the
Maybe
dumbest
2006?
questions?
Even?
Was it called Jumper?
Yeah, it was just called Jumper.
Didn't they make a video game and it was shit?
I never played the video game. I do remember the video game, though.
February 14th, 2008. Jumper video game.
It's probably around the same time. But, I don't...
It was on the Wii.
I think for me, it's one of those things that no matter what other role he would have done, he would have been remembered as the guy from Star Wars.
So the movie came out February 14th, 2008.
Uh-huh.
The game came out February 14th, 2008. Bad marketing is bad. I don't think they've made it like a serious video game movie since like Thor.
Like a video game movie or movie video game?
The one where they make the game based off the movie. They haven't made like a legitimate one since like Thor in 2010. Because I think they realized.
realized
that butchering the stories.
And it's not necessarily that people were butchering the stories. It's just that no one can. I don't want to play Thor, dude. I want to watch the movie.
If I want to play Thor, I want to play comic Thor.
I'll play Marvel vs. Capcom if I want to play as a superhero.
I'll play Lego.
Or I'll play Lego something or other. Or I'll do something that doesn't have its own spin-off game. Like, would it be cool to have its own spin-off game? Sure. But you gotta stop. Because I feel like for video game companies, I think it's one of those things where they're kind of put into a weird bind with the production company of the movie, where it's like, okay, this is the release date of the movie. We're this far into shooting.
Don't spoil these details because we can't have it be the same movie. Or we can, but add these extra things that don't even happen in the movie. It's a bunch of weird stuff.
And so there's probably a bunch of legalities that go into it.
Well, think about this. Amazing Spider-Man 2, that movie came out. Spider-Man with Electro, you're like, wow, he killed Gwen Stacy, Green Goblin. Whole cluster of things happen. You're like, I don't understand it. But the game, at the end of the game, you got Carnage. And you're like, bro, I haven't even seen Venom in the movie. How's Carnage already making an appearance?
And I think it's one of those things. I think it's one of those things that video games are more of they're like more of like an instant gratification sort of thing. Where you can get the game and be like, wow, this is awesome. This story is great. It flows well with what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a movie that takes time. Not saying that games don't take time. But you can be more immersed into a video game because you're playing it. Like, you're the one who's in control rather than just watching a movie about said thing.
Right.
But even then, I like I said, it must be some weird...
The other thing that threw me off a lot of times in these video game things that they made based off the movies and stuff is I don't think hardly ever, if they ever did, I don't know, but for the most part, they didn't actually get the movie actors to do the voices, and I was like, what a wasted opportunity. Like, I don't think you would have had to pay them too much because
it's a waste of time. I think is that it just
like I'll put it like this: the best one that I played was Wolverine Origins. The Origins Wolverine one, because the movie was boo boo, but the game was cool. It was like the opposite, where the movie sucked, but the game was
which
lit.
is funny because I remember so many like growing up and like hearing about video game movies and being like, yeah, ever since the Super Mario Brothers movie came out in like the 90s or whenever it was, and everyone hated it, and then they kept trying to make video game movies, and like even like the Mortal Kombat movies, like if we were to sit down and watch the Mortal Kombat movies, I think I would enjoy them for what they are. Well, because it is Mortal Kombat, but it's just the way that they went about making them, and I think as video games, it's one of those things where it's not like a book, where there's like the book has
an adaptation because you make it in your head. The video game, it's like these are what they look like. This is the set. Here's the story.
And I think the last video game based movie I watched was the World of Warcraft movie.
I heard that was
It was alright. I thought it was decent.
I watched that Tron movie and I thought it was stupid.
Both
of them.
I had never seen the original Tron, and I think I only really liked the aesthetic of the newest Tron.
Yeah, the aesthetic was cool, but the Daft Punk movie,
that's really what it was.
Daft Punk the movie.
That's really what it was. It was just Daft Punk the movie.
But I like Daft Punk, but I didn't like that movie. It was Garbo. Kurt Russell was in it, I think. You think he was the stupid dad who got stuck in the
No, thing? It was still Jeff Bridges. They just CGI'd his face to make him look like 30 years younger.
Didn't learn the first time. He got stuck twice. He's getting stuck in Tron. They made the most boring video game a movie. Turn left, turn right. Like NASCAR. The movie.
I don't know, man. For me, video game movies or movie video games, it's one of those weird things that I think it's because they do try to release them in conjunction, where it's not like, say, like a movie comes out. I will say, now that I think about it, there was one exception to a movie and a video game that came out roughly around the same time, and the video game was awesome. And that was Star Wars Episode 3, the video game.
Yes.
That game was fire.
It was. I actually tried to revisit it not too long ago, and I couldn't figure it out. But as a kid, I beat it. I haven't got the secret ending where Anakin makes a jump and stabs Obi-Wan, and then
kills Palpatine.
Yeah, and Palpatine comes. He's like, good. He's like, my emperor now, or empire now, bitch.
And so now that I really sit down and think about it, I think that was the only movie adapted video game that I personally can remember actually enjoying.
I remember because Battlefront, the first one, came out around the same time.
I think Battlefront came out a couple of years before. It was like 03, 04, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember I was living in Arizona when Battlefront, the first one, came out, because Episode 3 came out in 05. And so I want to say Battlefront was either a year or a year and some change before that movie had come out.
Well, hold on. Again, Battlefront. Hold on, I gotta spell this right. One release date. If it hooks me up with the EA one, God, yeah.
Because I remember it came out 2 weeks after Fallout 4.
September 20th of 2004.
Nice.
And then October 31st, 2005 is when the second one came out. And Star Wars Episode 4 came out, or I'm sorry, 3.
It was like May
19th of 2005. So the first one was already out, and I think so. Then, what did I say? The second one came out
sometime in 05.
Fuck all this nonsense.
Like February or something.
You know what? Yeah. Like September, October. So the second one came out after the movie, but the first one came out before the movie.
And I think again, because the video game industry had boomed the way it did. Maybe that's why we're not seeing so many of them anymore. Is because they tried to experiment.
And that's like we can just make our own stories. Good stories. Clever stories. We can actually hire top-notch actors to be in the games. We got mocap. We can just have people act out the scenes and actually act. pay actual actors to actually act, so not just reading the script. They're actually doing the stuff. And
I think
boom,
motion
boom, boom.
capture was like a huge turning point in the video game industry, especially with like consoles like the PS4 and like even the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
Well, and think about it, because voice acting is hard enough to do because if you're expressing the emotion, but if you can actually move your body and make the expressions, there's a lot more you can do.
And I think that's why they hire like The Last of Us.
Yeah, I watched that stuff where they're doing like the mocap. Oh, wow.
And I think it's because I think if you pan it in a way that it's like, yeah, it's a video game, but because these games do have such great writing behind it, I think that's why the motion capture is so great, especially with the games like The Last of Us, where because of the story is so good.
They wanted to tell a good story, but they
acting
didn't want to slack on the gameplay either.
And the acting was so good because the writing itself was decent, not because they needed them to do the gameplay aspect of it, but because the story it was like we're just here so you can act out the story. That's it.
That's pretty crazy to think about.
Like, we'll do our job.
You do yours.
In making the game and doing what we do best.
We'll get your face, your body, and your voice in households.
Exactly. Whereas it's like back in the day, you have some, polygon-shaped dinglebat.
You have a little plumber trying to get in some princess boom.
And, and his only catchphrase is, "It's a me, Mario."
Wahoo!
Because I think... maybe it's because video games now, people do want a story-based game.
Uh-huh.
Where the story is great, but the gameplay is also good. Obviously, sometimes you can have a really great story, but super bad gameplay. Or a really good gameplay, but a terrible story.
I think some people do prefer that, because I'd rather have a fun game than a coherent story.
For me, it depends. It does depend on the game, and it mostly also depends on... especially if it's like a franchise, it depends on that franchise. So, like with Fallout, the story is already there. The story is already good. You can make improvements, and you can add your own little spin on it.
Right.
Because obviously, they try to pan it in a way that it's still like everybody out there is still human for the most part,
right?
And they still interact as humans, and human things still happen. So like with Fallout 4, like his son got kidnapped. I think the way that Bethesda went about it was a little weird. I don't think that was like the highlight of their storytelling experiences, but the gameplay was fun. And so that's that weird inverse relationship where the story wasn't that great, and I wasn't that like involved with it.
But I wasn't having the VATS every 3 seconds to shoot things.
But I also could just run into a house and blast whoever I wanted.
Just cause. Found the kid in the fridge and said, "Get out of here!
Get out! I'm selling you. Where are my caps, pal? I'm trying to get rich."
And that's how it is. Get rich quick. Video games, life, podcast, recap. Star Wars is better than Star Trek. They're both on the boo-boo list. Can't grow stuff on the moon. Video games are cool. Movies are cool. Mix them together. You don't know what you're gonna get.
You're not gonna. Who knows? So I guess with that, so. Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding words.
He looked at me and was just staring at me. I was like, "What?
So
this is your part."
All right. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. All the support, especially everyone who's subscribed to the YouTube channel in the last couple of days, in the last week. That's been a huge boost in confidence for us. It makes it worth it in the end. So obviously keep spreading the word. Tell your friends, family, whoever. Subscribe. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Twitch now as well. Castbox. We got that going.
We're still figuring everything out with that Twitch, so don't you fret though. It's coming. Like, it's set up, the account, but we just got to make sure we got a little kinks out to make sure we at least bring you guys something decent, not just some first random thing.
And after this episode, while it's being uploaded, we're gonna be setting up an Instagram page just to have that platform as well. So you know, if you listen to this on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment,
Bell button.
the bell button. Make sure you guys push that so you guys know when episodes are out. Does help us a lot.
Because we get sick of telling you.
And so, and it is one of those things with a brand new YouTube channel, obviously, just trying to get the word out.
Support your local artists.
Exactly.
Or the Squawker will get you.
And the Squawker. So with that, all the links will be in the description. You can hit us up on any of those platforms, and we'll get back to you. So,
you fucking nerd, is that a RuneScape?
Yeah, it is a RuneScape. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.
How did I just notice that?